Thank you very much for your questions. Very good. Our first project is with the Utah. It's the UAMPS. It stands for Utah Associated Municipal Power Systems. As many utilities, they have wind power. And they asked us to perform a study to look at how a NuScale plant could load follow their wind farm. And they suffer from this issue of grid stability. Variable power input, how do we make the grid stable? In our design, we have 3 different approaches for load following. We do have our central control rods, which can be raised and lowered, and that gives us a significant ramping rate to do some more intermediate load following over hours and days. For very immediate, we can, because it's a small system, we can bypass 100% of our steam from the turbine to our condenser, or any fraction thereof. Initially, in our study, what we've done is we've used the steam bypass system to reduce the electrical output whenever the wind is high and manage those fluctuations, so we can actually follow that. The second part of our study looked at how do we more efficiently do that by reducing the amount of steam bypass that we do, so we're not wasting as much energy. So these, and the third is more like load shaping, and what that involves is, especially with places with a lot of hydro, at some times of the year they will be producing lots of electricity. In our design, we could shut down 2 or 3 modules if we needed to for a period of time and conserve that energy, and then balance the load in that way. So we do have those different ways of integrating with renewables. The diverse energy platform is something that we continue to develop. I mentioned hydrogen production. You'll see some big breakthroughs in that area. Currently, we work with high temperature steam electrolysis. You'll be hearing some breakthroughs where you don't need as high of a temperature to generate hydrogen, and that fits very well with thermal nuclear type plants. The carbon-free project is a very ambitious and exciting project because it's a utility who's in front saying that they want to decarbonize. And the fact that they're coming forward, that they're looking at our finances and the economics of our design, I think is very important worldwide, because we want a plant that's economic, that can be built. Lastly, with regards to external power, because again our design has relatively small condensers, we can go to air-cooled systems. So instead of using water from a lake or from the river as a heat sink, we can use forced air. Now you pay a penalty for that. So for example, in our analysis what we showed is that you can take a plant, move it from the coast to inland, and just use air cooling. But you, instead of producing a net of about 47 megawatts per module, 47.5 megawatts per module, that drops down to closer to around 44 or 45. Excuse me, 43 or 44. So you do pay about a 7% penalty because now you're providing power to the cooling system for air. But for locations where they have no water, it still represents an ideal approach to save water in that regard. And I don't know if John has any additional factors on the economics. Okay.
Thank you, Ms. Yamazaki, for your question on industrial heat. As I said, this is one of the most difficult things to decarbonize, but not impossible. I hope they are wildly successful in the nuclear, because the efficiency to produce electricity is about 35%, 33%, which means the cost of heat is 3 times lower than that of electricity. And so that is very important. So that if you can get carbon-free heat, that's one way to do it. The second way is to, in many ways, produce hydrogen. Because once you produce hydrogen, if you want to go from iron oxide to steel, you could use hydrogen to remove the oxygen instead of using carbon. And so that's one way to do that. There are problems with it, but you could electrify, or you could produce hydrogen from renewable electricity or carbon-free electricity, and then use that for industrial heat. or electrifying heating. Now, one may think that this is very difficult, but we use inductive heating all the time. And if he could somehow figure out how to do industrial heating at scale using heat pumps, high temperature heat pumps, that technology needs to be developed as well. So I think that's the way to look at industrial heating, but it is a very difficult thing to do.
ありがとうございました。それでは坂根委員お願いいたします。
ニュースケールのレイさんにお聞きしたいんですけど、私は原子力発電技術については日本の平均的国民レベルのちょっと上の程度ですから、ちょっと的外れな質問かもしれませんけれども、この資料の18ページにプラントリスクが比較が出てます。で、私の理解では PWR っていう加水型の原子炉は原子力潜水艦の向けのとこから始まったというふうに理解しておりますけれども、原子力潜水艦のこの故障率のリスクっていうのをここに書くとしたらどのレベルに来るのかということと、それから今やっておられる話が多分出力レベルが発電用と原子力潜水艦では全く違うでしょうから違うんでしょうけども、もし今回の SMR の技術が実用化できるとすると、原子力潜水艦の方もそういう変わっていく可能性があるのかどうなのか、もし全くピンボケな質問でしたら無視ください。
No, thank you. Thank you for those questions. Yeah. So there, in this size range of reactor, the 50 megawatt, which is the NuScale design, it might be somewhat comparable to what you would find, maybe a little bit larger than what you might find on a nuclear submarine. I don't know the Navy technology. They won't share that with me. But I understand that they're relatively small. And that they have a very good operating history. We could have learned and advanced our technology much sooner if we had access to that type of information, but they don't provide that information to us because it's a separate area of study. But this certainly we've looked at different aspects or applications, including the idea that we can use something in this size to power an offshore platform, for example, things like that. So I can't give you a direct answer, but I can tell you that my understanding is that these types of reactors have a very long history, and they've been, in terms of risk assessment, they've done actually very, very well. Thank you.
ありがとうございました。それでは船橋委員お願いいたします。
ありがとうございました。特に真島太郎先生に伺いたいと思うんですけども、福島の原発事故が起きた後ですね、私どものシンクタンクで民間事故調で事故の検証、危機の検証やったんですけど、その時にスティーブン・チューエネルギー省長官にもインタビューをいたしまして、非常に根節丁寧にいろいろ教えていただきました。その時も含めてですけれども、日本の福島の教訓の一つに安全神話というのがありまして、それは現在今動いている今使っている、これはベストであると、最も安全であるというそういう想定ですね。ですからさらに新しい技術革新をそこに導入するとか、それはプロダクツにしてもプロセスにしても、そのようなことをしようとすると、そのこと自体が今あるものが、十分に安全でないと、不完全であると、いうことになってしまうと。ですからそれはしないと。 いうことによって今最も安全であるというふうに国民住民の理解を得ると、こういうこれが安全神話なんですけれども、これ2つの問題をこれは実は提起することになる。一つはつまりバックフィットのこれを遮断してしまうということですね。常に改善して技術の新しいもの、最先端のもの、これを織り込んでより安全なものにするという、このより安全なものっていうのがバックフィットができなくなると。でもう一つはそのレジリエンスの概念っていうのを要するに除外してしまうと。つまり今あるものは完全なんでこれ破られることはないから、破られたと想定してそれをどういうふうに立て直して復元力を増すかという発想も、そういうラーニングプロセス、ラーニングカーブというのはなくなってしまう。でこの2つの罠にはまってしまったと。これが福島の教訓の一つなんですけれども、質問はですね、もし SMR のような新しい非常に斬新な技術を持ったシステムを導入しようというときに、これはやっぱり相当住民も国民も不安を持つと思うんですね。なぜならば新しいからですけれども。でそのような時に、これは例えばやっぱり国政府がまずはそこでそれを取り入れて責任をより持ってです、特にリスク管理もしてそれでやってみせるというようなことで徐々に社会武装実装していくのが望ましいのか、あるいはアメリカの場合も基本的にはそういうものも含めてやられてきているのかですね。先ほどのお話伺いますと、やはり国の役割というのは非常に大きかったと思うんですけれども、その点つまり新しい技術を入れてこれだけの大きな巨大技術でリスクが極めて大きい技術のやっぱり政府の役割すらどういうふうに位置づけるべきかと、これは第一点。もう一つは分散型、特にインターネット・オブ・エナジーのような形で、AI も入れて、さっきおっしゃったようにディープラーニングもというような形で進めていくときに、じゃあ人間と機械の共同作業になると思うんですけれども、このリスクの評価も管理もその時の最適の組み合わせというもの、何か一つビジョンがあるのか、今までの経験の中で少しはそういうヒントがあるのか、その辺を伺えればと思います。
Thank you, Mr. Fernbash. Very tough questions. I think in the area of new technology and risk, this always goes hand in hand. Any new technology will have risk. I think from the Fukushima experience, and I was in the Department of Energy at that time, working with Secretary Chu, we had just finished Deepwater Horizon Macondo, where we were called in to stop the leak. That was in 2010. 2011, this happened. And we were saying that, my God, Department of Energy is like Department of Disasters. But I think the nuclear risk and the risk from, let's say, photovoltaics is different. I think the human engagement with something nuclear versus something like a photovoltaic or a natural gas is different. I think we have seen that play out. And I think the idea of going smaller modules like they're doing in SMR, or for that matter, in the case of photovoltaics or wind, these are small modular by design. There's opportunity to experiment and reduce the risk faster than you may have if you build one big plant. So I think the idea of experimenting, because we will never get it right the first time. I think going smaller has an optimal in terms of risk management. The second part I would say is that we always thought that in the history in the United States, when any new technology came out, whether it is information technology or some other kind of communication technology, the government was often the first customer. And I'm hoping in this case as well that the government, we talked about the Navy, I'm hoping that the Department of Defense is a first customer for SMR, because that creates the market that de-risks it, that de-risks for the commercial world. And I think we have seen that play out in a very nice way in the United States when the government needs the power. Whether, as I said, regardless of the technology, when the government supported a new technology, they often bought it and reduced. That's the origin of Silicon Valley. People think that Silicon Valley is due to venture capitalists. No, it's actually due to the government. And the venture capitalists came later on. You asked me the question about distributed energy system, machine learning, and what is the best human-machine interface? My sense is that for algorithmic, when you are trying to make decisions on a lot of data based on algorithms, I think it's going to be very hard to beat the machine. But what the machine cannot do is to provide constraints of what it should and should not do. And that's where the humans have to come in. It's not a question of whether you can, but the humans need to make the decision of, should you do this? And will it be advantageous to do that? What are the consequences of that, not just in the technical world, but on the impact of humans? For example, we have a challenge in the United States that many of the rooftop solar or electric vehicles are bought by wealthy people. So the subsidies are going to the wealthy people. Wealthy people can afford to buy rooftop solar and storage and get off-grid. So the people of low income will have to pay for the maintenance of the grid. That's a social equity issue. Machines can never decide that. I think we have to figure out, humans have to figure out how to balance that human aspect, social equity, consumer choice issues compared to algorithms. Algorithms, I think at some point, we may not be able to handle, the machines will be better. That balance, I think, is striking, that is very important for society at large.
ありがとうございました。それでは中西委員お願いいたします。
ありがとうございます。レイスさんにお伺いしたいんですけれども、この50メガワットのリアクターっていうのは、そもそもこの単体としてはやっぱり連続運転というかフルキャパシティのオペレーションが前提になっているのかっていうの、これ組み合わせてモジュラーでフレキシビリティを出そうとしているのか、特に先ほどちょっとウィンドというのはそのコンビネーションなんてことをやると結構なんていうんですかね、フルでステーブルオペレーションっていうのがスタンダードにできるかどうかっていうのはちょっと関心があるものですから、そこをちょっとお聞きしたいことと、それからマシマダールさんにはですね、先ほど来オートメーションっていうことを言われて、これ私たちも我が社はそういうところに今一生懸命投資もしてるし、なんとか商売にしようと思ってるんですけど、なかなかインベスターというか誰がこういう今までと違ったグリッドマネジメントに対してインベストするかっていうのは、ここが結構難しくって、アメリカの中でもトランスミッションコントロールオペレーターというものにパブリック性を持たせる州とそうでない、あくまでもプライベートセクターでやるとかいろんなバリエーションがあるので、この辺についての将来展望といいますかですね、これスタンフォードでこういう研究されて、我々も少しジョインしてるんですけれども、これをどういう格好で本当に将来本当の大きなグリッドマネジメントに適用できると いうふうになって、その時のやっぱりインベスターっていうのはどういう方を想定しているかっていうのだけちょっとご試算があればお伺いしたい。
Thank you for your question. Yes, normally when we think about nuclear power plants, we like to think about a base load plant, a stable, continuous operation. Because the utilities that we're working with they own wind power and they also own solar power, they ask specifically for flexibility. So early in our design, we worked on providing them a certain range of flexibility that would allow us to follow the load. So load changes, the reactor power changes. So much of what we can do in load following is with actual movement of control rods. But if it's a much more fluctuation than that, we can do what we call the steam bypass. We're taking steam and instead of directing it to the turbine, we direct a portion of it to a condenser. So we're losing some energy there. And what we're trying to do now, and we think maybe some of the artificial intelligence could help us, is to optimize that. Because that's a problem that certainly could be addressed so that you minimize how much of that bypass you need to do.
So that your architecture is very flexible to adjust of the such kind of the.
That's correct, and you can think somewhat of the Navy design, but it is a very flexible plant. Yeah.
I think your question about automation and who pays for it is a very important one, because while the automation is important, the innovation in technology is necessary but not sufficient. We need innovation in markets, in pricing of energy, where you can create new services and people can finance it. In the United States, I can tell you, the access to long-term capital, low-cost long-term capital in the energy world is not easy. We have tax structures that support it for oil, gas, and coal, called MLPs. We don't have that for nuclear, wind, solar, electricity infrastructure. We don't have it. So the tax structure needs to be changed so that you get lower cost of capital for that. But all of that is necessary, still not sufficient. It is extremely important to change the market structure, to look at market design so that there is incentive to pay for the transmission lines, to pay for the storage, etc. So I think it is what I called alignment of the innovation, technological innovation aligned with market innovation, aligned with financial innovation, all reinforcing each other. Oftentimes, we have found that they are going in different directions, and that is very hard then. It's very hard. So it needs very thoughtful policymaking to align all of those innovations. And I think one needs to understand the technology trends, one needs to understand financial trends, as well as market design to get all of that right. It's non-trivial to do. In the United States, we certainly have not gotten it right, but we need to work at it.
ありがとうございます。それでは白石委員お願いします。
お二人ともどうもありがとうございました。非常に勉強になりました。マジマダール先生に一つというか3つぐらい関連した質問、全部ARPA-E についてでございますけども、ここの今日のお話伺ってますと、2009年から2012年に14のプログラムで15のプロジェクトをそれぞれやったと。で大体3000万ドルから6000万ドル、30 to 60 ミリオンぐらいのお金を使ったと。仮にですね、今その先生がもう一遍この ARPA-E をやられるとすれば、それはトランプ大統領には使いたくないかもしれませんけど、もし今やられるとしたら同じような資金投入をやりますか、それとも違いますかっていうのが一つ目です。それから二つ目は、研究開発においては5年から10年ぐらいで成果の出るものもあれば、15年とか20年ぐらいかかるものもあって、そこのその配分をどう考えられたのかっていうのが2つ目の質問。 それから3つ目にプライベートセクターとの関係どうされたのかっていう教えていただければと思います。
I have been asked this question by Congress many times. Maybe you were in Congress. So, if I were to start ARPA-E again, would I do it the same way? I think I would. I think I would, because we have to look at long term. We cannot look at short term when we're talking about energy. It is not like Instagram software, because it's infrastructure. Infrastructure will remain there for 100 years. And in this time of major transformation, which I think is once in 100 years this happens, we have to look at this technology innovation. And I think there'll be a global competition on innovation. I think that's going to happen. And so that's a good thing. Competition is good. Whether it is President Trump or President some other, ARPA-E started actually under President Bush. But then the financial crisis hit. And so when Obama came in, there was the Recovery Act, the stimulus package, and that's how it started. Right now, it's a little difficult I'll be honest, under President Trump, he's trying to zero it. But Congress, thankfully, the Republicans of Congress are supporting it. So, it's bipartisan in that, because innovation is nonpartisan. It's not political at all. So I would start the same way. And I had to spend a lot of time in providing political stability for an organization like this, because as you know, anything new in Washington, when you start, there's always people try to block it. I call Washington, the people, they're either builders or blockers. And it's important that you have the support of the administration and the support, in my case, Stephen Chu, who wanted this to happen. And then I had to build the consensus and support from Congress in a nonpartisan way. So that's very important for any new thing. So yes, I would start the same way, but if the president and the administration is non-supportive, I would not start it, because I think it's doomed for failure right from the beginning then. That's number one. I think you hit the point exactly right that in energy case, technologies going from the laboratory to full commercial scale can take anywhere from 10 to 20 years. Maybe 20 years is like early. So it is very important for an ARPA-E director to communicate to the public and Congress and the stakeholders that you got to be patient. We can show some signs of success, but this is not success unless you have full-scale commercial impact, where the impact is felt by our society. And that takes 20 years. And one needs to be patient about it. And you may need several rounds of not just government funding, but later on industrial funding, adoption and funding. The question of private-public partnership is very important. Should the government be funding the industry is a big issue in Washington, because our political system is such that they may consider that to be a subsidy. And we have to be aware of it and be sensitive to that. So my message was very simple, is that I will fund ideas, the best ideas, no matter where they come from. If it's coming from the university, fine. If it's coming from the industry, it's a competition of ideas. Because in this area of transformation, it is a transformational ideas. Not all ideas will work, but those that will transform and be disruptive. And so I said, I'll take best ideas, and if Congress wants to beat up on me on the case of funding an industry, I'll take the heat. That's on me. That's my job to protect. And so that was how we looked at whatever we did, we talked to the industry and understood what is too risky for the industry to invest in. And that's where we will go early. And so that we are pre-commercial in many ways, pre-venture.
ありがとうございました。まだまだ質問もあろうかと思いますけど、一通り委員の皆様からご質問をいただきました。ありがとうございました。大臣、一言ございますか。
レイエスさん、ホップキンスさん、そして、マジュマダールさん、本当に今日は、素晴らしいプレゼンテーションありがとうございました。私の結びの言葉に変えて、最後、マジュマダール教授に一言質問をさせていただきたいと思います。今日だけでもですね、いろんな未来へ向けての選択肢というのが提示をされているわけであります。この懇談会、過去来ていただいた有識者からもですね、多くの選択肢が示されました。で、我々はまさに政治はですね、その選択肢の中から最も適切な選択肢を選んでいかなければいけないわけですけれども、その選択が全てのことにチャレンジするほど財政的な余裕はありませんし、かといって何かを選んだ場合にですね、その選択が正しかったのかどうかというのは答えが出るのに10年か20年かかるわけであります。その辺のリスクのヘッジをですね、我々政治としてどういう形でやっていけばいいのかということについて最後ご質問させていただいて、私の結びの言葉にしたいと思います。
That is probably the most difficult question. I think the risk part is the question is risk has to be matched by the maturity of the technology. At early stage, I think we are all willing to take some risks, whether it is a new battery technology and all, and that's in the R&D level where it is very risky. Some ideas don't work. Each project is about $1 million, and that's okay. But as we go beyond to a later stage, I think we have to be very careful of how much capital we put and what is the outlook. And I can, from my experience, at some point the government or taxpayer dollars need to stop funding it and the private sector has to pick it up. And they need to see whether there's whether there's revenue and profit to be made. That market pull is very important. And I see, at least in my case, in my understanding, the role of the government is at the two ends. One is to invest in the high-risk research and de-risk it, and then create the policy for the markets, for the private sector to adopt that and scale it to that. And in this process, as we go downstream towards the later deployment, one has to de-risk it substantially so that there's not much hedging downstream. The hedging is upstream. Because otherwise it's very difficult to have downstream where people have put billions of dollars and the market suddenly changes and they can't make money. So the long-term predictability of the policy signal, absolutely critical for the hedging to reduce downstream.
ありがとうございました。それでまだまだご質問あろうと思いますけれども、もしご質問ある場合には事務局にいただければ、また改めてお二方にはご協力をいただければと思います。本日はこのところでプレゼンテーションと質問を終わりにさせていただきます。レイテ CTO、それからホプキンス CEO、マジュマダール教授、本当にありがとうございました。拍手でお送りしたいと思います。ありがとう。それでは、この懇談会で初めてちょっと5分だけ、休みの時間が取れる余裕ができましたので、はい、大臣退庁されます。ありがとうございます。3時40分に再開をしたいと思います。よろしくお願いいたします。 それでは、後半の議題に移りたいと思います。今日第7回目でございますけれども、これまでこの懇談会では、エネルギー需給の将来像、あるいはその地政学、温暖化対策、エネルギー企業の戦略、そして今日もご議論いただいていますけれども、イノベーションの可能性など、幅広く多岐のテーマにわたって、有識者のお話を伺ってまいりました。ビロル事務局長にお話しいただく前に資料7をちょっとご覧いただければと思います。資料7は本日までの議論、これまでのヒアリング、あるいは意見交換で得られた視点というものを整理をしたものでございます。基本的には委員の皆様、それから有識者の皆様からの意見を整理しているものでございますけれども、裏表で4枚の紙になってございますが、ポイントとしてかいつまんで申し上げますと、まず情勢アプローチということであれば、情勢メガトレンドの方向としては脱炭素化、これはほぼ全員の方がそういったご指摘をしていらっしゃいます。それからデジタル化、分散化といった視点でございます。それから、大きな共通要素としては、長期的には不確実性、あるいはその不完全性というものがあるということでございます。不確実性という意味では、将来の望ましい需要、あるいは供給の在り方の予測はなかなか難しいといった視点、そういったご指摘が多かったものと認識しています。不完全性という意味では、S+3 考え方としてございますけれども、これを満たす完璧な単独のエネルギー源は存在しないといったようなご指摘が多かったということでございます。対応のアプローチという意味では、野心的な目標への総力戦、パリ協定のような目標への総力戦になるといったご指摘が多数ございました。またその際には、多様性、選手性、成長性、そして柔軟性が重要といったご指摘がございました。各論では、各エネルギー源、化石燃料、再生可能エネルギー、原子力、火力発電、それぞれの課題、方向性、対応の在り方等についてのご指摘がございました。最後のページですが、その他ということでは、水素、エネルギーシステム、企業戦略、こういった点について、示唆に富むご指摘をそれぞれいただいているということでございます。こうしたことを念頭に置きながら、これからビロル事務局長にですね、中長期的な世界のエネルギー動向、あるいは政策への提言について、プレゼンテーションをお願いいたします。20分程度でお願いできればと思います。
Thank you very much, dear members of the committee, dear colleagues. Very good afternoon to all of you. It's a great honor for me that I talk to you in front of you about the global energy issues and what is the implications of the global energy market developments for Japan. Japan is facing in front of difficult energy questions, but you should know that Japan is not the only country that is facing very important energy questions, and the right decisions about these important energy questions will be critical for the Japanese economy for many years to come, Japanese citizens for many years to come, and Japanese security for many years to come. So therefore, I thought to give you some broad trends, what is happening in the world, which are definitely going to affect everybody in the world in terms of energy. So when we look at the next 2 decades or so, we see 4 major upheavals, 4 major transformations in the global energy markets, which will affect all of us. Number 1, United States is becoming the undisputed leader of oil and gas production throughout the world for many years to come. In terms of oil, in terms of natural gas, as a major producer, U.S. production trends will affect the prices, energy security, and trade flows across the world. Number two, second major upheaval. Solar energy is becoming the cheapest source of electricity generation in many countries because the cost of solar is going down substantially. Third major upheaval. China is changing its energy policies, and as such, it will change the global energy market trends and global energy technology trends. 10 years ago, remember last decade, China was a main driver of the oil market trends, coal market trends, and now China is changing in the direction of clean energy technologies, and as such will be very important for the global trends. Let me give you one example, which is important for Japan to note as well. Only a few months ago, China decided to stop using coal for heating at home for air quality, local pollution reasons, and replace this by LNG. As a result of that, Chinese LNG imports increased more than 50% in a few months of time, and as a result of that, LNG prices more than doubled in the Asia-Pacific region. So one decision in China, banning the coal, has an impact in terms of the gas price increase for many countries in the Asia-Pacific region, to highlight the importance of China. Fourth upheaval, electrification. Our energy system, our economies are being electrified as a result of increasing digitalization, air conditioning everywhere, and the electricity consumption is growing 2 times faster than the energy consumption in general. Therefore, electricity is becoming the most important energy carrier among all the fuels we have. So these 4 upheavals, US shale oil and gas, dominating the oil and gas production globally. Solar PV is becoming cheaper and cheaper. China changing its policies in the direction of clean energy. And fourth, the electricity consumption growing very strongly will change the dynamics of energy markets very, very strongly. It is imperative that the Japanese government, industries, all the governments around the world, citizens understand these dynamics, because they are coming big times. The size is very big, these changes, and they are happening very, very fast. We have no luxury not to understand these dynamics, so not to make wrong decisions in terms of strategy, in terms of business portfolios, and others. As a result of these changes, the role of some of the countries in the international map is changing as well. For example, China, as I said, moving to clean energy more efficiently. And as a result of that, we see India now emerges as the leading energy demand center in the world, overtaking China. India is moving to the center stage of global energy affairs. Very strong growth. Another change, Middle East. Middle East, we know Middle East as the major energy exporting region. But now, Middle East is becoming, at the same time, a major energy consuming region. Economy is growing, population is growing, desalination needs are growing. Another change of the role is United States. United States has been a major energy importing country, now changing the role completely, becoming an energy exporting country with all its consequences, from energy to economy, economy to security, from security foreign policy. When we look at the future, we see many fuels are changing their roles. Today, fossil fuels are about 81% of the global energy mix today. In our central scenario, 2040, we see that the share of fossil fuels are declining a bit, but still 3/4 of the global energy mix. Renewables and nuclear are growing. But in our central scenario, we do not meet the Paris targets as it stands. So therefore, we have prepared another scenario, which is adopted by many countries in Asia and elsewhere, which we call Sustainable Development Scenario, which includes the 3 Sustainable Development Goals of United Nations: reaching Paris targets, electricity access for everybody in the world, and reducing air pollution in the cities. 3 important targets combining of that. If we want to reach that target, the share of fossil fuels need to go to 60%, and a major growth we expect from renewables and also from nuclear power in the countries where it is accepted. Electricity. As I said, electricity demand is growing everywhere, but I would like to draw your attention to 2 countries, China and India. If you look at India, ladies and gentlemen, in the next 20 years, India is adding power capacity which is equal to 1 Europe today. So India will add 1 Europe in the next 20 years. Therefore, the choices that will be made in New Delhi will be critical for all of us. It's not finished. When you look at China, in the next 20 years, China is adding 1 United States of America. So we are thinking of the America today. What happens to America? 1%, 2% growth in the electricity capacity. But China is adding 1 entire America in the next 20 years. India is adding 1 entire Europe in the next 20 years. Therefore, the decisions that will be made there will be important for all of us. As we all know, 1 ton of carbon dioxide going to the atmosphere from Tokyo, or from New Delhi, or from Shanghai, or from Detroit, or from Hamburg, it is the same for all of us for the climate change. Therefore, the decisions which will be made in those countries will be important for all of us. One of the issues I mentioned to you is that wind and solar costs are coming down substantially. Solar costs in the last 3 years is more than halved, and we expect another halving in the next 3 years to come. They will be cheaper. But 2 suggestions here. One, in terms of Japan, perhaps there is a room for Japan to make more use of renewable energies, but the model that the Japan will choose will be also critical for its economy. Overly generous feed-in tariffs may not be helping the purpose to bring the cost down. Perhaps looking at the other countries, learning their examples to make use of auctions may well be a good way to go. And at the same time, to have the renewable generation alone is not enough. Looking at the examples of the other countries, it is extremely important that Japan has the grids in its place, strong grids, and the interconnection across the country in order to facilitate the renewable integration in the electricity system. I would like to mention to you one important issue, which is nuclear power. United States, since 1960s, has been the #1 country in terms of the nuclear capacity. Since 1960s, 60 years. France, again, had a huge capacity. But both of these countries, there are difficulties to build new power plants and at the same time, even getting lifetime extensions in the plants which are economically running. Japan had an important capacity as well, has as well. And you know the situation in Japanese nuclear better than me. But what is happening is that China is coming very strong. Today, more than 1/3 of the nuclear power plants under construction in the world are Chinese, followed by Russian. And as a result of that, only in 8 years of time, the latest, China became the #1 nuclear power in the world, overtaking the United States. If the policies in the United States and other countries do not change, of course. But I know very well from the first hand that the US government is very keen to change the nuclear policy and to support the nuclear policy to change these trends. But as it stands now, China is set to become #1 nuclear power in the world. Many countries around the world are working very hard to push the clean energy technologies. And at the IEA, we do not distinguish among the clean energy technologies. If they are clean, they are all welcome. We don't have a dogmatic approach to clean energy. Renewables, efficiency, nuclear power in the countries it is used, carbon capture and utilization and storage, they are all clean. But we also track the progress in clean energy technologies. Are they going well, or are they going slow compared to our climate targets? We have 3 categories of clean energy technologies. We look at more than 40 of them, and we have mixed results. When you look at the red ones, these are the technologies which are not on track with our climate targets. For example, carbon capture and storage. Such a critically important technology, but it is not yet taking off. Or building in energy efficiency in the new buildings. Today, ladies and gentlemen, 2 out of 3 buildings built today in the world, 2 out of 3 buildings in the world, they have no building efficiency standards or codes. And when a building is built in Shanghai or Mumbai or in Jakarta, they will be with us 40, 50 years. We are locking in the inefficient buildings there. So therefore, efficiency is a very important part. But it is not going very well. Somewhere in the middle, the yellow ones, are some of the technologies which are going in line, partly in line with the expectations, such as nuclear power. In some countries it's working, some countries it is lagging. Hydrogen, there are some good, mixed but good signals in terms of hydrogen, especially using fuel cells in the long-haul transportation sector. Where we get the green light, very encouraging results we see is the wind, solar, electric cars. But I can tell you that the progress in these 3 areas will never, ever bring us to our Paris targets. We need other technologies to be active as well. When it comes to Japan, we see that in our central scenario, which is in line with the basic plan of Japan, we assume the restart of the nuclear power plants, and we also see a significant increase of renewables. And this will bring the share of natural gas lower, still significant in the mix in our central scenario. But if Japan wants to go much further, much more radical in terms of emission reduction and all other targets, there is a need to see much higher penetration of renewables and stronger use of nuclear power. But again, this much higher share of renewables would need significant amount of interconnections in Japan, and also the storage will be much more important than the current situation. Let me finish my words by providing some humble recommendation from the side of International Energy Agency. From an energy philosophy point of view, we strongly recommend Japanese government to adopt a policy which looks all fuels and all technologies from the perspective of the economic, social, and environmental benefits of Japan, Japanese economy, and Japanese people. We support Japanese government's push for renewable, especially for wind and solar, and there is a need to make the most out of the falling costs in Japan and to find the flexibility in the interconnections within the system. We think climate change is an extremely important challenge for all of us, and Japan is one of the most respected nations of the world, and as an important member of the international community, would be one of the leaders to fight against climate change, and as such, we recommend that Japan makes use of stronger efficiency policies, more renewables, using nuclear with maximum safety to decrease the emissions in the cost-optimal way. And one of the cutting edges of Japan is its leadership in technology, R&D, and innovation. We strongly recommend Japan push this together with the Japanese industry strongly to be the leader in the world and export technology and innovation across the world. The digitalization, as I mentioned, is dominating our social and economic lives, and Japan, with the competitive advantage here, compared to many other countries in the world, should make the most out of this, focus on that, and make the digitalization as a part of its energy policy, but bearing in mind that the digitalization also makes our electric systems vulnerable, especially vis-à-vis cyber security issues. And finally, as before, International Energy is ready to support Japanese government when and wherever it is needed. Thank you very much for your attention.
ビロル事務局長、ありがとうございました。包括的なご説明をいただきました。ありがとうございます。それではこれから、自由な討議に入ります。いつものように事務局長への質問等あればと思いますが、本日は、これから自由討議でございますけれども、枝広委員からですね、資料を提出いただいてございます。最初に枝広委員からですね、その資料の説明と合わせて、少しお話をいただいて、その後、ビロル事務局長の質問等々、委員の間の意見交換にしたいと思います。よろしくお願いします。